So good afternoon. Thank you all for joining us. My name is Katie Ramirez. I am the Director of Career Services here at Trinity University. And I want to thank you all for taking the time to join us today and what's a bit of a different format than what we originally intended for this. I especially want to thank all of our panelists who have been very flexible in adapting to the quick change in environment for our panel today, what employers look for in college hires. Some quick housekeeping. Attendees will be kept in listen-only mode if you didn't hear that last time, but we will be taking questions through the chat feature in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. We will try to get it to as many questions as we can. We also have some prepared questions that we've asked the panelists to think about. So today we will hear from some Trinity alumni actually, who happen to also be employers, about what they seek in college hires. Students over the past few years have experienced a very robust job and internship market. And while we know that's changing with everything going on, we don't yet know exactly what those effects will be on the college labor market. But know that we are here to continue supporting your students however we can. We're working very diligently to respond to the quickly changing needs of the market. We're still hosting appointments and drop-ins, as well as virtual events and trying to coordinate a lot of things behind the scenes. So if you're a student listening to this today or a parent of a student, we do encourage them all to meet one-on-one with an advisor so we can talk about their individual situation and maybe even connect them to some alumni. Also be on the lookout for follow-up webinars or other resources as we know more information. With all that, I'd like to introduce a few of the staff that will be helping today. First, our moderator will be Aliza Holzman-Cantu, which many of you know. She's the Director of Parent Giving and Engagement here at the university. She has some prepared questions for panelists, and then again, we'll be fielding questions through chat. Miranda Larson is our new Associate Director who will be working primarily with employers, parents, and alumni, and who will now kick us off by introducing our panelists. Miranda?
Yes. Thank you again for joining us. I am going to introduce the alumni who have very graciously offered their time to share some of their insight and expertise with you guys today. First, we'll start off with Fran Yanity. She is an '89 alum of Trinity University, and she's the president and COO of the PM Group and also the CEO of Noisy Trumpet. And then we have Adam Cason. He's an '09 grad, and he's the director of product marketing at Futurex. And we've got Matt Reedy. He's a 1979 grad, and he is in data and analytics at USAA. And then we had one more alum that was going to join us today, but she was called away at the last minute, and her name is Allison Buckner. She works with Capgemini, and she's a 2011 grad. If you had any burning questions for her in particular, do let us know, because she did offer for us to reach out to her with questions via email. I think that's all for now, so I will hand it over to Aliza.
Wonderful, thank you. And again, thank you so much to our panelists and to all of our viewers/listeners. Today on the webinar, we're excited to be able to still continue with our panel discussion that we had planned for today at this time during Spring Family Showcase, which of course has now been canceled. So thank you so much, everyone. And I think we'll just kick it off with, and y'all can just take turns. On my screen, I see Adam, then Matt, then Fran. And if we can go in that direction, that would be terrific. Adam, when you were in college, did you know that what you're doing now is what you wanted to do? And how did you find your way there? I think you have a good story for us.
Thanks. So, you know, when I started out, when I was a junior, senior at Trinity, and I was looking around saying, all right, what do I want to do long term? Aside from what I'd done in planning for major selection and everything like that, I sat down and I made a list, and I had about 5 different directions that were completely different that I could have gone in that I would have been happy with. You know, there's the radio, TV, film side of things. There's the consulting side of things. There's then where I ended up, which is the business to business IT and security services marketing side of things. And so it was interesting because I have a little bit of background in technology. I worked for a web hosting company over the summers when I was in school doing technical support and things like that. And so I had some technology background, and it ended up getting me an internship with where I'm at right now, which is Futurex. And so really it was interesting as far as plans and how those ended up coming to fruition. So my original plan when I was getting ready to graduate, this was 2009. So the 2008 recession was in full swing then. I still remember the front page article on the Wall Street Journal the day I graduated was how rough the economy was for new grads. I should have saved that and framed it. And so my original plan was to go work for a company for a few years, then go back, get an MBA, get a graduate degree, do something like that while the economy was getting back up and running again. But what ended up happening is that found here at Futurex that what I wanted to do was this, love what I'm doing, love the people I'm working with. And 11 years later, here I am.
That's cool. Good story, Adam. Thanks for sharing that. Mine is fairly similar, actually. I was a computer science major at Trinity. I actually started writing software in high school, and I kind of always knew I wanted to be doing something with software. I just loved the process of creating something out of nothing on the computer. That was just always a blast. So for the 3 jobs before where I am now, they were all in that field. I started a software business in the mid 1980s, happened to be in the right place at the right time, and we wound up going public. We did an IPO in 1992 and was very successful. Subsequently got acquired. Did 2 subsequent startups also in software and technology, and then decided to come to work at USAA. So I'm actually in a data and analytics job now at USAA. So not so much software development, although I still do write a little bit of code, but it's mostly now data related. So yeah, ever since I graduated from Trinity, I've kind of been doing what I'd expected to do.
So much, Fran.
Yeah, so I did not have any idea what I wanted to do when I was at Trinity. I loved classical literature. I loved art history, and that's actually my major is in art history. And it's interesting, when I was at Trinity, Dr. Dick Jones, I took one of his marketing classes at the suggestion of my father. And Dr. Jones was very kind to me, and he asked me to change my major into marketing. And I'm like, no, man, I'm too far down this path. I'm sticking with art history. And he's like, I like history, but I can't make a living at history. And that's going to be the same thing with you. You need to come over to marketing. And I was like, well, I'll think about that. I graduated with a degree in art history and considered going to grad school, was accepted into 2 graduate programs for art history, but ended up getting my MBA at the urgence of my dad. And Dr. Jones actually wrote my recommendation letter to get into SMU. And while I was there, I really kind of struggled with how do I, kind of combine my interests, and decided to go into advertising and marketing, kind of combining the creative part that I liked with the business side. And, just struck out, got a job. It was difficult. My first job was at an ad agency. I think I went on, 75 interviews, and, just worked my way up. That's just the bottom line. It was not an easy road, but I was not one of those people that knew from the beginning what they wanted to do. It took me a while to figure it out.
And figure it out, you did. So it's wonderful. And let's piggyback off of that. And we can start with you right now, Fran, is help prepare you for your career that you had no idea that you were going to really become involved in. So tell us how you prepared and what you're doing now with what you learned at Trinity.
Absolutely. So I think the things that I learned at Trinity were that were critical to my career development were things like problem solving, research. That was a big part of my art history degree, was research, and that paintings or sculptures or things were done. I think there's some basic skills that I think no matter what the degree was in, things like the writing skills, because I do have 2 Trinity grads who are on my team, and they have very good writing skills. They have very good problem solving skills and critical thinking skills. And so I think those were some of the things that I learned that really helped and kind of translated into my career.
To my end, to add a little more from my perspective, one of the things I enjoyed the most, one of the things I got the most out of when I was a student at Trinity was the wide variety of different classes that I had. So, I took a class on the Vietnam War in media. I took a class on animation. I took a class on management information systems. I took a class on diction for singers, the International Phonetic Alphabet. I mean, such a hugely broad range of different things that you would not tie into anything in name with what I'm doing right now. But from a developmental standpoint, the ability to look at all these different disciplines and think about them from so many different angles, that's one of the things that I felt really helped prepare me and helped lead me in the right direction. Between that and the person-to-person communication that really was almost kind of enforced, mandatory communication, that really has helped me more than any specific hard skill.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, can I piggyback on that real quick, Eliza?
Absolutely.
Exactly as Adam said, and Fran as well, really the variety of classes that I took, even though I was in a computer science program and I knew that's what I wanted to do, just being exposed to all of those things. What that gave me was when I was thinking about starting this business in the mid 1980s, everybody always asks, oh my gosh, startups, they're so scary, how could you do that? And, and so on. And for me, in my mind, my thinking was always, you know what, I can try this for 6 months. I'll try it for 12 months. If it doesn't work out, I can always go get a job somewhere else. And I really felt like the Trinity education sort of gave me that foundation that prepared me to be able to just try anything. I'd never really worried that a particular path I was taking was not going to work out.
That is amazing advice, because you were able to really hone in your skills that you didn't necessarily knew you were going to use in the future to be successful in what you're doing now, and to be able to switch gears when you needed to switch gears. And so with that, what skills are you looking for with interns and full-time hires? And let's just go ahead and start with you, Matt.
Sure. Interestingly, especially at USAA, we're really looking for people that can communicate, very well as people that are comfortable and proficient working in small groups. So everything we do seems to be in teams. As you imagine, we have 35,000 employees, so there's a lot of collaboration that has to go on and so on. So it's really people who can clearly communicate. I started out as an introvert, and so I was not a very good communicator early on. It took me a lot of practice to get there. But the more experience that the interns might have just in terms of communication, and then just really the collaboration, being able to work in small groups and small teams and demonstrate that they know how to get along, they know how to maybe even lead projects, kind of take that front position and say, hey, I think we ought to do this, and make proactive suggestions. Those are the kinds of things we look for at USAA.
That's fantastic, because I think that those are things that are developed a lot in the classroom as well. Adam or Fran?
Yeah, to jump in, and I would absolutely echo what Matt said. Communication is key. One other thing that we specifically look for during the hiring process here, as it relates to recent grads, is their ability to learn. Because anybody who's coming straight out of school, they're not going to have years of experience or anything like that, and it would be wrong for employers to expect that. It's just not a reality there. But what's a good predictor of success? It's the ability to learn.
Fabulous.
Yeah, I mean, that's so important for us to, with the speed of how much information is changing in our industry, just in digital marketing, we have to have people on the team that, just like what Adam was saying, have that openness to learn, that curiosity, that they're never going to be stale or stagnant, that they have that can-do attitude. That's so much of what we're looking for, is that teamwork, communication, and openness towards continual learning.
Those are fantastic tips for anyone actually entering the job market or changing positions, et cetera. I think flexibility and personal relations really are key. It was what we're hearing from you all. And so I think this question is, what can students do to better prepare themselves for the world of work? what might be some suggestions that you all have that would be something that a college student has access to in preparation for working with others and preparing presentations, etc.? And anybody can go first. It doesn't have to be Fran. It could be Adam or Matt as well.
I'm happy to go. One of the biggest things that we look for is internships at a variety of agencies. It can be communications, it can be PR, it can be marketing. That is really one critical piece that we do look for. And we offer spring, summer, and fall internships at our own agencies. It's interesting to me how few people actually reach out and show interest. So a lot of times we're looking for interns, and we don't have a whole long pipeline of people that are reaching out to us, which is interesting. But I would just encourage people to search out those opportunities first and foremost. But there are other things that the students can do if they're interested in marketing, and particularly digital marketing, is they can get certified in a variety, for example, Google certifications. They can do that and it's free. So that's one simple thing that, that they can have in their back pocket that would be in addition to their resume.
That sounds like a great tool.
Those that skill set development, things that people can self-help on and do. From an application perspective, so many employers out there use applicant tracking systems. They're called ATSs. And one of the things that most of these do is they'll scan resumes for certain keywords that match up with the position. So, hey, if you can go out and get certified for free on your own time with Google, you do it with AWS, you do it with all sorts of different things, include those on your resume. That's absolutely a skill you should be proud of and tout on there, and it'll help you rise above the pack.
Wow, that's great advice. Matt, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, I sure do. For us, a lot of it is about extracurricular activities. So, things like different maybe clubs around campus that are in the field that you're interested in, and sometimes even service projects, things like that. We look for. One of the things from the technology perspective we look for also is participating in things like hackathons. If there's a community or a local area is just having a hackathon on things and they're just trying to innovate on ideas and solutions, if the students can actually participate in those, that goes a long way to getting recognized at USAA.
That was a terrific segue to my next question, Matt. Thank you. It is, what do you think about students listing jobs such as summer, they haven't had as many jobs, obviously, as someone that's been working for a while, but listing maybe summer camp counseling or nannying or leadership positions in organizations on campus. Do you like to see those on the resume, and in what format, how do you like them described, et cetera?
Yeah, I'll jump in on that. Very much so. We do like to see them on the resume, and specifically what we like to notice is things like where the person calls out either initiative or leadership. Those are the qualities that we're really looking for in those summer type of jobs and so on. We have at USAA, we have kind of a similar situation with people getting out of the military and then coming to work at USAA. And a lot of them say, well, this job I did in the military, it doesn't really translate to the industry. But if they can call out those things like leadership or initiative, and specifically talking about maybe even accomplishments, results that were accomplished during that time. Say if it's a summer camp, how many kids did you work with, and what kinds of changes or improvements did you see in those kids that you worked with, things like that. So that's really, those are big marks for us.
Fabulous. Adam and Fran, did you want to add anything else to that? I think you both kind of spoke to it, but go ahead.
Took the words right out of my mouth, Matt. I would echo that completely.
I mean, I definitely look for leadership on a resume. If they don't have as much job expertise or experience, I would just call it out. Tell us the leadership positions that you've had. What did you do? If they haven't had a lot of experience, how do you translate those skills? Sort of like what Matt was saying, what did they learn? What are some translatable skills that they can bring to the marketplace?
Perfect. And I know that at Celsius, they do help transpose that information to the resume building as well. So definitely go in and see Katie and her team, and Miranda and their team for help in that. And so when people are reaching out to you, let's say for an internship or for a job, and they don't know you directly, should they say? And I know some people are a little shy about approaching others that they don't know, but let's say we already know there's a Trinity connection. What should people say in their emails when they're inquiring with you guys about your companies and opportunities available? Who wants to go first?
I will.
Okay.
You know, it's interesting how few people still reach out to me, but when they do, a lot of times they'll say, I know you don't know me, but I'm interested in your company. Here's what I know about your company, and here's what I can, bring to the table. Here's what I feel like I can contribute. Would you give me 15 minutes for a phone call or an in-person meeting? Something simple that's, not a big time commitment. But I've actually had that happen. I had a woman, now this is someone who'd been in the Army for 20 years and is looking to transition out. And the Army actually pays for an internship for her. She reached out to me on LinkedIn. She had found my name on the Business Journal Book of Lists, and she emailed me and said, I know you don't know me, but here's my situation. I'm trying to transition out. I've been in the Army 20 years. I love marketing. I want to learn, and I can be an intern for you for free. Can we talk? And of course, I, met with her, and we're bringing her on board. So I think it's just being open and transparent and starting that conversation.
That's great advice. Matt or Adam?
Yes, I'll echo Fran's comments on that. LinkedIn is a super valuable resource. And if you can find out as much as you can about the person you're trying to contact. So obviously LinkedIn gives you some good things there, but even just Google their names and see if they've maybe written an article for a magazine or a publication or a blog or something. Those connections are always really helpful when you write in and you say, as Fran said, you don't know me, but I've been reading about some of the work you've been doing and I've been fascinated about this. I have a few questions maybe to ask you about that or things like that. So just by doing a little bit of extra homework like that through LinkedIn and Google, I think that strengthens the connection.
Perfect advice. And I think that being afraid of reaching out, we need to get past that, don't we? We need to learn just to reach out on an email or a phone call. I would imagine emails are best. You can just nod yes or no. Yeah.
I like LinkedIn too,
most of us don't get to the phone as much anymore, do we?
I personally, I have a higher, someone who reaches out to me on LinkedIn will get a better response rate than on email, because I'm dealing with, like everybody else, I'm sure, hundreds of emails a day. LinkedIn, small handful of messages that rise a little bit higher visibility rate there.
That's a great hint. And we are encouraging our students to list Trinity, and our alums to list Trinity University on their LinkedIn, so that when people do searches, it's very, very helpful. And the nice thing about Trinity is that we're such a tight-knit, small group of people that it's always very exciting to meet another Trinity Tiger along the way. And so let's say that this student actually gets an interview for an internship or a job. How do you guys feel about thank you notes, or what happens after the interview? What suggestions do you have? Adam, what do you like to get afterwards?
On the subject of thank you notes, they're never required by any stretch, but it's nice. It's a nice thing to get. It shows the candidate is invested. It shows they liked the conversation. They want to pursue things more from there. In terms of general post-interview follow-ups and things like that, I think every company is different with how fast they respond back to candidates. And I think it's fair to the candidate that the company offering the position should try their best to be responsive. Usually, if you haven't heard back in a week, a couple of weeks, there's absolutely nothing wrong with reaching out to either the person you've been in contact with or their general careers at email address to try to just get a status update. But a gentle push, not an aggressive one, will always take you further.
Great advice. Fran or Matt, anything to add?
I'm kind of old school about the thank you notes. I like to get them. I like a handwritten one, but an email will suffice. But I do look to see if the candidate follows up with me either in writing or via email, because again, it shows interest and, you know, attention to detail, which is something that we're looking for when we're hiring.
Yeah, I'll echo Fran's comments on that. It may be old school, but I love a handwritten note, and to me, that's just again kind of a differentiator. If you think about how competitive the job market is, and if somebody's really trying to, really wants to get a job, that handwritten note could be the differentiator, because not many people do those.
Fantastic, and you guys have really given us some good ideas as to how to, to use your words, Matt, how to differentiate yourself, because yes, it is a tough market. There are lots of people out there looking for jobs, and your ideas of differentiating yourself and the hints that you gave to include on resumes and reach out to people whether or not you know them are very, very valuable, and we really thank you for sharing those. I know that there was one last question, but actually, Adam, you kind of addressed this at the beginning, and it was, what advice, what do you think COVID-19 might have on your company's hiring plans? I don't think that that's quite a fair question yet, because none of us really know, but I would love to get y'all's input, whatever you want to say now, but be able to invite you back and talk about it again, or just share with us later once we've gotten into this a little bit longer to see what that might happen. Although Adam experienced something similar, it wasn't, it was economically when he graduated, and he's turned out great. So Katie,
it is such a unique company by company and industry vertical by industry vertical scenario that I don't think it would be fair to comment on any one in particular. I know for us to give the perspective from this industry, we're entirely business to business enterprise data security. And so very fortunately for us, it's an industry that no matter what happens, it's always going to need to be there. And so there's a lot of resiliency there. So industry-wide, we've got that going for us. From an individual corporate perspective, we've had a good couple of years. We've built up a little bit of a war chest. So for us, we're not actually substantially reducing our hiring right now. All the positions we've got open, we're still looking for. Now we're going to be very deliberate, like we always are, with which new ones we open. But really, for people looking at jobs out of school, people are getting ready to graduate in a couple of months here, look for organizations that are in industries that haven't been as impacted. Look for ones that will end up being stronger as a result once we do get back to normal life, and maybe target those.
Fantastic advice. Thank you. Did anybody else want to add anything, or should we just invite you back for next time once we know a little more?
Yeah, I mean, right now we're just in a holding pattern. We're not really sure what the impact is going to be, but that's kind of where we are. We don't know, but we're not reducing, we're not adding. So
that makes sense. Well, thank you guys so much. I'm going to throw this back to Katie, because I think we're going to wrap up now. But I've really enjoyed visiting with you all. Thank you for all the information that you've shared with us today. Katie?
Perfect. Thank you guys again, and thank you to all of you who are joining us for your patience. This is our first live webinar, and I think we may need to iron out some of the security controls on the back end. But needless to say, we really appreciate you guys sticking with us through it all. Just know, as Career Services and the Center for Experiential Learning and Career Success, as we learn more about what the impacts of the recession will be specifically on the college labor market, we will be in touch. We are working diligently. Our national association is researching all of that right now. And I know here on Trinity's campus, we're already in conversation with many of our employers to see what, if any, impact they're already feeling. And we are here to support students. Trinity students are very competitive in the labor market generally. And so part of what we love to help them do is articulate themselves better and to really stand out in a crowd. And so again, encouraging students to schedule appointments no matter what their need is, if they know what that need is yet or not. But we are here, and we do look forward to hosting hopefully more webinars and providing more information as we move forward. But with that, thank you all. I will be editing this. It will take a little bit longer than originally anticipated to edit some things out, but then we will be able to share this with everyone who is here today, as well as other parents and students who were not able to join us. Also, just a quick reminder that Handshake is available to students. That is how they would request appointments with us, how they find out about upcoming events. We do have a lot of employers who have switched to hosting virtual events, so there's already quite a few things going on in there. We still presently also have thousands of jobs and internships available to students. So while we're hearing a lot about the recession, again, there are still opportunities out there for the right candidate. So with that, thank you, and everyone have a wonderful day.